He got a fever seizure. I don't know if you kids get a fever and they go into convulsions. And he was 11 months old, and I grabbed him because I was married at the time, and we ran down the street. The hospital was a block away, and I kicked open the doors and the doctors, and he was convulsing so bad. And the doctors, I just ran in there screaming, "Oh my God, my son is not breathing, my son is not breathing." And I pushed everybody out the way. They gave him phenobarbital and Valium back to back. They weren't supposed to do that. They literally killed him. He died. He flatlined for 8 minutes, and I started praying, and I was like, "God, if you are real, you better raise my son." I got angry at God, and I was like, "If you want me to believe about Lazarus, then you got my son here about to die? What kind of God are you? I don't want to serve you if you're that kind of God." And I prayed and I prayed, and the doctors were telling me, we're sorry. And my husband was a minister at the time, and he even lost his faith. He's like, "Rhonda, I'm sorry, but we lost him." I was like, no. And I left, and I went into the chapel, and I was still praying. And then they came back and they said, he started breathing again. And he really did. He flatlined for 8 minutes. So I know I have faith.
Wow. That's so amazing, Rhonda, that you would say that, because I had a similar situation. Number one, I was pregnant, and I wanted a boy so bad, and I was like, God's gonna give me a boy. So I went to the doctor, and they said, "Well, you're having a girl, Miss Simmons." I was like, "Another girl? God, you promised us a boy, and God told us, you're gonna have a boy." So we believe God, but the doctors were telling us something entirely different. So I said, okay, I trust God enough to know that I'm going to have a baby boy. I told them to redo my ultrasound, and sure enough, I got a boy. That's one thing. That's just how God spoils me. When you have faith and believe in Him, He will spoil you. I drive a Lincoln Navigator. Me and my husband was on the bus for a while. We didn't have transportation or anything like that. And so we were just on the bus. It was hot outside. Somebody wrote me a check and said, "Your car, get what you want," and they paid cash for it. So my vehicle was paid for.
Seriously?
Yes, seriously. Wow. Because I believe God. Now, the other thing about, you were saying about your baby's health. Well, my daughter, when she first came here, and I tell this testimony a lot, that me and my husband were both virgins when we got married. And so with that being said, we waited, we were having babies, and we were just so excited. Well, my daughter, when she got here, she stopped breathing for the first 3 days of her life, and it brings me to tears when I talk about it. But every 15 minutes, my daughter stopped breathing. And she was in the NICU, and just to see your newborn baby turn blue, and all we could do was just be by her bedside and just praying to God that, God bring us our baby back. And my pastor came out, and just everybody was praying. And just to see my baby just go lifeless and turn blue, they had to do CPR on her. Every 15 minutes, I could be holding her, and she just stopped breathing. And it was God, because that's not where the story ends. It is sad, but he completely healed my baby. They said that she was having seizures. So for the first, every 15 minutes of her, the first 3 days, every 15 minutes, she was having seizures. The blood on her brain was resolved, and she is now in the 90th percentile for her weight, her height, and she's smart and everything. So I just give God praise, because when you have faith in God, He can do the impossible.
Climbing through your window.
Your daughter, I have so many stories that I could share, but what comes to mind and what's on my heart to share is just that, no matter what, you can't stop believing. There's been situations, I've gone through a divorce, I had a wayward childhood, and I knew that God was with me through all of that. I never lost faith. I never questioned or doubted. I just waited for him to show up, and my faith, it has always been so strong. And I mean, it just, even, you know, sometimes it's been the size of a mustard seed, and sometimes it's been as large as mountains. And I just know that God he's an able God, he's a willing God, he can't lie. His promises are just, you know, phenomenal, and that's what I keep in my heart, hidden in my heart. And I always know that no matter what I face, no matter what situation, God is with me. Yes. And he, you know, he will never put more on me than I can bear, and my faith is what keeps me strong.
You know, sometimes I have a hard time with sometimes, and I have to struggle with even now. And I just being honest, just being real. I mean, it'd be great to say we got amazing faith, but we don't all the time. Even with my son, with God doing that, you would think that would give me the most amount of faith ever. But sometimes you can have so many things happen to you that you just get worn down over and over, and it's like, God, come on. I know I lose faith, and it's like I have to remind myself. I gotta stir my own self up. I gotta remind myself what God already has done, and that if He did that before, that He is able to do this again. And you know, and it's hard. It's not easy. I wish I could say I have faith all the time, but it's hard.
What you have to do is never stop celebrating what He's already done for you. And when you do that, when you keep something in the forefront of your mind, it's just like trying, you know, you're like, oh, when I get home, I got to do this. And you keep saying it to yourself. You have to be the same way with your faith. You got to keep in the forefront of your mind, God healed, He brought my child back from there. He brought me through this. He brought me through that. You know that He's there. And as humans, you're right. Sometimes we feel like, hi, did you step out for a minute? You know, did you turn your back for a minute? You looking right. But you just have to know, and you have to encourage yourself. So what you're saying is true. You have to encourage yourself at all.